perhaps welcome back to the ones that have been here with us yesterday, and newly welcome for the ones that are joining us today, freshly curious about what are we doing here. I am Sandra Horia. I'm one of the facilitators of this workshop together with my colleague Eleni Mikhail. So if you are able to turn on your camera, we will be delighted to see your faces so that this circle can be a little bit animated and we can interact as much as this Zoom setting is allowing us right now. And if not, it's also all right. It's also okay. We understand that. Yeah, so ready to embark on other realms and deeper realms of discovering the pathways to meaning and purpose and seeding for the future, hopefully so. And yesterday, for the ones that have been yesterday, we have been crossing a threshold because it's really important to know where we are and to set the framework around you. So yesterday, for crossing the threshold, we lit up a candle. And today, if you have a candle next to you, great, do that on your own. But I would invite us all, me included, to cross the threshold a little bit differently, meaning somehow more inwards. And yeah, make yourself comfortable here as we are going to close our eyes for just a few moments. And this is, in a way, crossing the threshold and arriving. So if you haven't closed your eyes yet, I'm inviting you to close your eyes. Make yourself comfortable, not too comfortable, because we want you alive and potently curious and able to hear. But what if for just a few moments you have really nothing else to do but to sink into this sweet, nourishing, revealing, intimate darkness of yours? And just breathe in and breathe out, and perhaps with every exhale, more deeply dropping into another world, perhaps a world beneath the worlds, a world that is perhaps inhabited by the gifts of soul, by images of meaning and flavors of purpose. Feel free to feel trust and love and hope and faith from this deep darkness of yours. And as you exhale, I'm reminding you to drop yet another layer down within yourself. And perhaps even imagine that you are creating a space in you, creating yourself, shape-shifting yourself into a vessel that is ready to be filled, ready to receive. And know that from the dark, sprouts are arising, sprouts are being planted and penetrating even darker places and coming up to light. Just a few more moments here. Notice what is arising, if something is arising, if images or emotions or memories are being awakened. And in your own pace, slowly, I'm inviting us all to be back in the circle, knowing that we have been collectively crossing a threshold, probably listening from a different place with a different type of quality, and paying attention to that which is unknown yet, to that that is still to be revealed. So you may open your eyes, or you may rest here for a while more with your eyes closed, as you wish.
Indeed, you may close your eyes, keep your eyes still closed, or open them, or stare at the fire if there is a fire in front of you. Meanwhile, another welcome into the sacred realm, into this seeking realm, into the place of unmaking and making and possibilities. We are going to continue with a poem. In fact, it's not a poem, it is a quote or an excerpt from a text by Mark Nepo. And find yourself making space also for this poem, for these lines. Perhaps listen to these words not only with your ears, as we tend to say, but maybe from these dark questing terrains within you. Here it comes. From the moment we open our eyes, we are meaning-seeking creatures, looking for what matters, though we carry what matters deep within us. I will read this once more. From the moment we open our eyes, we are meaning-seeking creatures, looking for what matters, although we carry what matters deep within us. And more than the hard-earned understandings we arrive at, more than the principles or beliefs we stitch together out of our experience, how we stay in relationship to the mysterious whole of life is what brings us alive and keeps us alive. Everyone knows firsthand that life is messy and painful, beautiful and unpredictable. The endless practice is keeping our heart open to the whole of it. And the journey of becoming who we're born to be never ends. It's limitless, eternal. We don't arrive, we grow. From the moment we open our eyes in this world, we are meaning-seeking creatures, looking for what matters all over the place, though we carry what deeply matters deep within us. And more than the hard-earned understandings we arrive at, more than the principles or beliefs we stitch together out of our experience, how we stay in relationship to the mysterious whole of life is what brings us alive and keeps us alive. Everyone knows firsthand that life is messy and painful and beautiful and unpredictable. The endless practice is keeping our heart open to the whole of it. And the journey of becoming who we were born to be never ends. It's limitless, eternal. We don't arrive, we grow. Let these words of Mark Nepo echo in your psyche. We are meaning-seeking creatures, looking around for what truly matters, although we carry what matters deep within us. And life is wide and vast and beautiful and chaotic. And we learn through hardships and challenges, and we make conclusions. And still the practice and what matters is to keep our heart open. Keep our heart open so that we can be available for life and available to the journey of becoming who we are. And I love this last phrase he offers. It's eternal, it's limitless. There is not a time in which everything is finished. Maybe that's when we close our eyes in the very end of our string of life. We don't arrive, we grow into what we were born to be. We grow just like the seeds that are deep within us and deep within the terrains of the earth. We grow. And this is what I want to offer today. A model for growing and maturing into meaning and purpose and into a future that is soulful. So what if we open our hearts furthermore for what is about to be revealed today from your own psyche, not only from the authors, but also from your own psyche.
We want to offer you today a model that is rooted in this, well, its intention is rooted in this, it's in providing an orientation of human maturation. So the model that we are going to speak about, it's called the Soulcentric Developmental Wheel. And I'm going now to speak a little bit about the general wheel, the general model, and then Eleni and I, we will go one by one and we will tackle piece by piece the elements of the wheel. You will see the stages of the wheel. So yeah, this is the eco-soulcentric, so rooted in ecological, in nature and in soul-centric. The eco-soulcentric developmental wheel is developed by the eco-depth psychologist and soul guide Bill Plotkin. And just from the beginning, I want to mention that the model does not represent the truth. Absolutely not. It is a model. It's meant to serve us and to guide us, and it's absolutely, for sure, incomplete. It is forever evolving and growing and expanding, and it's as if it is a creature of its own. But it is a model for cultural transformation, and therefore is inviting us to live a life of meaning and purpose, what we are seekers of. That's why we are gathered here in this circle. And a more mature human society requires more mature human individuals. We are all forming the society, as you already have an idea of. And so this eco-soulcentric wheel is a tool which describes the human maturation and as well provides also some actions that we need to take towards the human transformation. Yeah, the model shows how nature provides the best template for human maturation. Bill Blockin says something like, well, we don't know what to do and where to go and what's the next step. Well, let's look out there or inside, because we are also nature. Let's have nature teaching us about maturation and about transformation. Nature is the wisest guide here, and our own soul. So the model shows how to grow whole, complete, one life stage at a time, by embracing these two elements, nature and soul, as trustworthy guides. And maybe it's worth mentioning, what do we refer by soul, because we are using this term, and maybe you have a slightly different approach to what soul means. So in this context of eco-depth psychology, by soul, we refer to the unique gift, absolutely unique, that is only yours to embody. We are so many billions of people on this earth, and yet every human being, every individual, and more than human being, every sentient has a gift, has a soul that is embodying here. Maybe Michael Mead is referring to this as the genius inside, or David White is putting it in some lines of poetry and refers to something like this: the truth at the center of the image you were born with. This is your soul. This is my soul. This is soul. The truth, the ultimate truth, our truth, at the center of the image we were born with. And so it goes beyond the profession. The profession, perhaps it is a delivery system for our soul. It is a way soul is being manifested in the world. In other words, soul can be understood as our ecological niche, ecological place in the family of things, our personal elixir. We all have a certain kind of liquid that is medicine inside of us. But the formula, the specific formula of this elixir is just ours to embody. So this is what we refer by soul when we say that this model puts soul and nature at the center. And you will see later, as we are going through all the stages, there are 8 stages, and we will go through them one by one. In stage 4, we have a soul encounter. If we're lucky enough to reach stage 4, we will have a soul encounter, and that will ignite the process of soul initiation, which is actually what we are looking for when we speak about meaning and purpose. Of soul initiation we are longing for, which is the radical transformation one has in his or her or their life, in which we shift from a focus that is on social belonging and social discovery to actively embody the soul in our community. So that is the process of maturation. Let's use also these words. As you can see, it's a wheel and it's a cyclic model. Yeah, it's not a linear when, starts with birth and ends with death. Well, it also starts with birth and ends with death, but is a cyclic model and is rooted in the 4 directions, in the north, in the south, in the west, and in the east. And as you can see, has the main elements are here kind of crystallized in few words. And let's familiarize ourselves a little bit with the main elements of the main elements of each of the stage. So as you can see, there's a passage into the stage. And let's look at stage 1, which is in the east direction of our wheel here. In stage 1, we have a passage into the stage, an entering threshold. Similarly to how we entered this workshop, there's an entering threshold for every stage, and the first stage, the first passage is the birth. And then every stage has a name. For example, stage 1, the name is the nest. And every stage has an archetype, which is the innocent for stage 1. And then there are several, usually 2 main tasks. See, there are tasks there. There is nature task, nature-based task, and cultural-based tasks. And we will speak about those ones more in detail. And then every stage has a gift to the community. And every stage has a center of gravity. For this stage 1, the center of gravity is the spirit. And then lastly, every stage has a passage out of the stage, which ushers us in the next stage. So these are quite important. All these elements are quite important. It's like, oh, they give us a lot of knowledge and understanding about the model. As I said previously, the wheel is weaving together nature and culture. And very important, it is not age-based. This might be disappointing or not for some of us. It is not age-based, but it is developmental, which means that it is independent of our chronological age or social role in the world. Yeah, so an individual does not pass from one stage to another just because they reached a certain age or because they have a certain social role. If you get married, that doesn't necessarily mean that you are a mature human being, or if you become a mother or a father again, or if you have a job that is actually well paid, also does not necessarily mean that you're not, but does not mean that you are necessarily an adult from this perspective. So yeah, we have to obtain and rather the movement from one stage to another is taking place by the progress we make with the specific developmental tasks that each stage has. With the exception of stage 1 and 2, that gives us a free ride because everybody, regardless the developmental tasks, gets to stage 3. And this is where many of our contemporary people are being stuck in stage 3. And as you will see, and maybe you also are already seeing on your own maps, on your own wheels that you have in front of you, that stage 3 is a stage of adolescence. That's why I mentioned, I think yesterday, that we are living in a pathadolescent culture in which we have people of many ages, but still stuck in a kind of an adolescent kind of behaviors. Every stage is the best stage to be in, as long as it is an ecocentric stage. There is also egocentric stages, and we tackled a little bit these by yesterday by working with the namelessness, with the nameless boy. That perhaps is the egocentric stuckness in stage 3. And every stage is also a form of crisis and opportunity. Paradoxically, we have to love the stage we are in order to be ushered out of it. And there's a loss in every stage. There is a loss in the transition. But the next stage always brings new and greater opportunity for fulfillment and becoming more fully human. And also maybe the last idea here that I want to share is that no task can be fully, completely addressed. So when the time comes when you are ready enough for being ushered in the next stage, you are going to go through this passage and through this crisis and through this opportunity. All right, how is all this landing inside of you? Are you following? Are you with the model, the wheel? Okay, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. Let's go maybe in more detail now and start exploring every stage.
Mm. And before doing that, just a few more lines from my side. I think you mentioned it, Sandra, but I feel maybe naming it again, that did you see the 4 directions on the map? That there is east and north and south and west. So all these are not by accident put there. There is a connection between each stage and each direction in the globe. So, and we are going to speak more about this as we are going into the stages. And perhaps one more thing, that this model that you have just seen is the eco-soul-centric way of growing and developing. As Sandra said, in which culture and nature are in the center, while most of us probably have grown in an egocentric way, in which unhealthy ego is in the center, and the need is to conform or to rebel, this path of adolescence that Sandra has spoken about, but not only in the area of path of adolescence, also in the previous stages. In an egocentric culture, the way stage 1 or stage 2 are managed are very different than what we will see in a while in stage 1 and 2. So here comes a kind of warning, and take it with an open heart when I'm saying warning, but maybe the things that we are going to present today will hurt a little bit, because maybe we have not grown in this way that the model speaks about. And this maybe brings grief for the way we were raised. And yet, Bill Plotkin says that there is always possibility to go back, not back in the stage, but back into the tasks of the stage and work with these tasks, so that every gift is retrieved. Although we are not anymore stage 1, we're not babies, we're not children, but still we can access these gifts even at this moment of our life. Yeah, so I'm inviting you to look at this with an open heart and with gentleness towards yourself and perhaps even your caregivers, who have done the best probably they could at that time of their life. And what do you think? Shall we go to stage 1? Stage 1, that is set on the east direction, the direction that welcomes the sun after the night, and it announces a new beginning, and there is a new beginning, because the threshold, the passage to enter this the stage 1 is birth. Stage 1 begins by birth, by being born in this world. And now I'm becoming a bit vulnerable, because I feel my heart pumping faster, because I am sharing a little bit about my story here. I am blessed to have a stage 1 baby here with me, not in this room, in the next room, a 4-month baby. And yeah, I feel honored and moved to speak this those next words. And yeah, it will be a blend between what Bill Plotkin writes in his book and a little bit about how I see it firsthand by raising a baby. I feel tears are coming even. So yeah, allow for this to come also from my side. So yes, the archetype that we have in the East is called the innocent in the nest. The innocent in the nest. Isn't there more beautiful? Is there any more beautiful way of describing a newborn innocent in the nest? And let me speak a little bit about innocence. Yeah, there's something sacred happening when a child arrives in this world. It is as if God or goddess has created this being and stays with this being not only in the womb but also as he or she arrives into our arms and into our home. This being is, in a way, I see divine creature is a miracle, and therefore is also innocent because it's so pure. It's so so disconnected from the ways of being of this world, and so connected to this other world still, although this one is arriving in this world with fast speed. Yeah, and there is a luminous presence in this stage, a presence full of light just when the sun is rising. And haven't you looked at babies and smiled? It's really hard to not smile in front of babies. It's really hard because they are bringing light into this world. They're bringing light, and their presence is so widened and open. And they're so innocent, which not only holds the element of divinity in them, but also holds the lack of fear, maybe the lack of doubt, the unawareness of the dangers of this world. And this world wants to induce so many dangers, unwanted dangers, I feel, in the babies. And the babies are also the stage one, not only babies, but also toddlers. They are presence center. They are living in the present moment. They are just living by moment, you know? When one is hungry at this very moment. This one cannot wait 10 seconds or 1 minute or 10 minutes. It's impossible.
Let me tell you a story meanwhile. While Eleni is going to be back, finding her way back to our circle, I will tell you a story about the innocent in the nest. And I don't even know if the story is true, which I really don't care. This time I really don't care. So it's a very short story. And it is about a family that has already a child, let's call it a boy, that is, let's say, 4 years old, maximum, something like that. And the story is that this family, the woman gets pregnant again, and she is carrying the second child in her belly. And the time has come when she has to give birth, and she's going to the hospital. It's a modern story, you know, modern time story. And she's going at the hospital and she's giving birth, and everything is going well, and it's a baby girl. And they are bringing the baby girl after a few days. They're bringing the baby girl back in the house. And now the older brother now has the opportunity to meet the baby girl. And so he's very curious and very gentle. And one day, very shortly after her arrival home, he tells his parents, may I have a moment, just me and her? Can I be left alone with her? And the parents are a little bit surprised, a little bit maybe perhaps worried, so that he wouldn't, behave with her in a non-gentle way. But they're saying, yes, you can. After they are saying how to behave with her, they are leaving him alone in the room with the new baby born girl. But they are watching not under, but behind the door. They are peeking, and they are being very carefully to what is happening. And so they're witnessing that the boy is going and approaching slowly the little girl, and he's saying something like this: quick, quick, tell me, where are we coming from? I'm beginning to forget. Tell me, where are we coming from? And that brings tears to my eyes, and I don't know about yours. And I don't know if the story is true. I've heard it myself in a circle as well, from a person that didn't know if the story is true. But perhaps we make it true, or we can receive it as being true, because these ones that are newborns, they do remember something that we don't. They do remember this center of gravity, which is the spirit. They are coming from this magical, sacred, divine world. And this one, the little one, let's call him 4 years old or 5 years old, he was starting to forget where he's coming from. And this is what happens to everyone. We slowly forget where we're coming from. And the journey of soul initiation is helping us, and this model is helping us remember that. Remember the place where we are coming, and remember the gift that we are coming from. Okay, and this is the little story, and I see that Eleni is back. So back to you, Eleni.
Thank you. Thank you, Santa, for, taking over, but also for sharing this story. I know where the story is coming from. It's written in the book Women's Body, Women's Wisdom. If you want to track it, it's there. Yeah, in the chapter about pregnancy or birthing. I don't remember the author, but if you write it, it's there. If you look for it, yeah, if you put the title. Yeah. So the innocent, and then the nest. What is the nest? It's the place where, the mother bird lays her eggs. And it's a place of love and protection for this new arrival. It's a place of opening oneself to this little one. Did you hear about the wildness when I was speaking about it earlier? Actually, now my mind is wondering, did you hear about the wildness that I introduced earlier? Was I still connected?
You were speaking about a wild ride, that being a parent of a newborn is a wild ride.
Yeah, because the one we have in front of us is a wild being, and it's untamed, and it's raw, and it's not conforming. This one is going purely with their intuition. And speaking about the nest, now I remember the wildness, because on one hand, what we need to offer to the innocent we have in front of us is not only love and nurturing and touch and play, it's also protection. It's also a shelter from harm. And this, I think I've said it earlier that this this society, this egocentric society that we live in, looks for so many opportunities to make these little ones get in boxes already from first moment of their life. Yeah, And perhaps one more thing that I find very important is how to do that. Well, by being present ourselves, how do we love? How do we protect by being present with this one? How um, how do we nurture by offering ourselves completely and by telling, I am doing that, telling this one, you know more than me, lead me, show me, you are my teacher, you know better than I do. So opening ourselves to this one, and yeah, maybe I will pause here. Maybe Sandra will continue a bit here.
Yes. Well, in stage one, just to go to the model and to see a little bit about the task and gifts and what is written there. So here our parents and our caregivers form the foundation of for later soul discovery. And they are doing this by the preservation of our original innocence and by providing the environment of a healthy culture in which the ego should be rooted. Yeah, the task here is for the newborn to be fully received by the village community. Maybe you remember from yesterday, Poder was so celebrated and welcomed by all the village. Yeah, the nature task, maybe we can call it like that, is to be present to what is present. And we are growing into, accumulating years, and perhaps we have some deficits, some needs that were not fulfilled and were not met when the time was for meeting these particular needs of touch and play and mirroring. And we are carrying these unfulfilled needs with us throughout life. And perhaps we are longing for them to still be fulfilled, maybe in our intimate relationships with our partners or friends, or by working. So we need to really pay attention to these needs. That's why, as Eleni was saying previously, we no longer are babies. So none of us here in the circle is in stage one, and yet we still can have a lot of unfulfilled needs or unaddressed tasks from stage one. And here practices like mindfulness, like praying, contemplating, contact improvisation, even for touch, nonviolent communication for being mirrored, and so many other practices are fulfilling and addressing some of the tasks here from stage one.
And let's have now a taste of these practices. Let's have a taste that will gravitate, will help us gravitate around the gift of this stage, which is the luminous presence, but also the spirit, the center of gravity, which is the spirit. So what if now we take a moment in which we open our hearts into prayer? What if now we take few moments, and we're going to do it all together. It's a collective prayer. So in a way, it's also a collective dreaming. Because through the prayers, we're dreaming for something, right? We are igniting, asking, and offering something. So the invitation is to take 3 minutes, all of us at the same time, and maybe stare at the fire, maybe find a way of reaching deeper into your heart. Perhaps, I don't know, you want to bow or do something with your body. And from your heart, let there be words or whispers or non-verbal words spoken into the skies. Perhaps this is an opportunity to dream together this world, this future. And you may pray for someone in particular, maybe yourself, maybe the world at large. Feel free, whatever calls you or whoever calls you this moment. Right? So this being said, let's take a deep breath in and exhale, and let this prayer begin. Each one of us at their own. Few more seconds here. The way of concluding the prayer. Mm. Mm. Aho to your prayers. Echo. May these prayers echo further, wider into the ears of gods and goddesses, your own ears, that they are ignited into this world. Thank you for praying together.
And you may take this practice with you. Praying is very personal, doesn't necessarily need to belong to a certain religion or a certain kind of wording. It's a very, very personal and intimate practice. You may maybe have it for at least a week to see how it feels and what is giving you, what is bringing you. So yeah, well, quite precious to be praying here together with you. Thank you as well. And so we are going and we are taking steps further on our wheel. And from stage 1, the innocent in the nest, we are going and we will drop some words about second stage, which is called the explorer in the garden. So here the transition into this stage is through naming, which celebrates the appearance of the conscious self. We are now here, maybe perhaps 3 or 4 years old, and we are aware of ourselves. And here in this stage, we are learning the tasks is of discovering the natural world and learning of the cultural ways. So here we are learning the enchantments of the natural world. We are explorers in the garden, in a confined kind of territory. It's not, we're not yet old enough for the feral wild, but we are in awe. Everything is so magical, and the learning is happening absolutely everywhere and in abundance. As well as the cultural ways. We are learning the cultural ways of our people. And these two are also quite important requirements for soul initiation. And perhaps is well worthy to say also that in stage 2, also the responsibilities of these tasks are of our parents or caregivers. They need to teach their children their values and their principles and their ways of being in the world. Because only later in stage 3, we are creating our own value system that is probably different than our parents. But first, we need to learn the ways of our parents so that we can have our own. So this is how, and see how, why so many crises maybe are appearing in when we are in stage 3, because our value system is growing and most probably is different than our parents, and it should be different because we are evolving as species. Yeah, and the gift here to the community of children is the wonder, the awe, the astonishment, the enchantment. And here free play is essential, as well as being deeply received and seen and mirrored by our parents and caregivers. And I don't know about your families of origin, how lucky you were, or how healthy environments you grew up in. But I know that we are most probably all of us having a deficit of being mirrored. We are lacking some mirroring, uh, some ways in being deeply seen. And yes, there is a moment for us to grieve, maybe to grieve what we haven't received, as well as finding now ways to fulfill those unfulfilled needs, to find ways to have those tasks addressed. We need here in stage 2, we need to be seen and acknowledged in what we are becoming as children, and we need to shout out our successes that we have achieved. That's why I don't have a child yet, and yet I know that most probably all children are like, mommy, mommy, do you see me? Daddy, daddy, do you see me? Do you see me? Millions of times per day. Probably parents in the circle, they know better this. So because it is essential, that's why they are asking millions of times per day. Yeah, because in a way, this is how our wholeness again is formed. The foundation is formed. What are we mirroring as parents, as caregivers? We are mirroring qualities, strengths, capacities, talents that we see in our little ones. And this is how our wholeness is seeded, and how we as children, they are having a sense of who they are in the world. Yeah, and the center of gravity here, what is important, in other words, what is important, and what do we pay attention to when we are in stage 2, is family and nature. This is all that we care about, family and nature. Okay, now we'll stop here. Maybe Eleni has something to add.
I want to bring the attention to how we moved from the nest to the garden in terms of place. So the nest, very small and secure place in stage 1, and now we are in the garden, and it is still a safe place, bigger, right, than the nest, but still place of safety, and a place for exploring, and a place which is near the family. So yeah, the even this choosing these words, these places plays a role here. And yeah, maybe Sandra mentioned it already, but I feel like sharing also that this stage 1 and stage 2 is the moment where the qualities and the traits, and perhaps even some gifts, are glimmering. And perhaps if we are midwives, like the one in the story yesterday, we can see a little bit of them, and therefore preserve them, and empower these ones to keep them as they grow later on. I like to imagine also Poder in the story of yesterday, to do all sorts of things in the garden of their home, or even the village, and being next to his or her elders, and listen to stories from the past. And this is one way actually of reclaiming now the wonder, the sense of wonder. We do this by listening to stories, listening stories from our culture, even stories from our family, myths and legends from the places where we belong, the nature around us, and yes, going again into the nature and be astonished. Let ourselves be mesmerized by the beauty, and let ourselves also ask questions. How did this happen? How is this and that? This is also exploring, a way of exploring. And yeah, I'm stopping here, and there is more.
There's a little practice that we would like to offer you for this particular stage 2 place. And there's a question, and the question, or maybe questions within the question, is to maybe perhaps go back to your years of stage 2, meaning 3, 4 until 11, 12, 13, something like that. And maybe perhaps remember, what were you as a child? What were you deeply enchanted by? What were you deeply called by? inspired by. May that be maybe a being in nature. I do remember my cherry tree. I had a particular tree that I was in love with in my garden, a cherry tree. Um, he was my best friend, one of my best friends at least. So maybe perhaps you have this kind of memories that maybe perhaps you didn't think of those ones for ages. So maybe an element of nature, or maybe an element of culture, like what maybe a character from a story or from a myth that you heard as being a child, that you were totally taken by and enchanted by and mesmerized by. So this is what we are inviting you to share. And perhaps you can even treat this one, whoever you spoke about, this your cherry tree, or your character from a story or from a myth. You can treat it as an ally, as a friend, as a companion, as one that you can be in conversation with, to remember the ways that you were back then. Maybe now you can mirror yourself in your strength and capacity and talent and gifts that you had and still have, but they were quite maybe profoundly shown when you were that age. So yeah, feel free to to continue further and deeper this memory of yours.
We are moving to stage 3. We're moving to stage 3, and perhaps it's worth to say that stage 3, the passage from stage 2 to stage 3 is the arrival of puberty. A little reminder here that stage 1 and stage 2 are kind of free ride, as Sandra said much earlier. They happen because of the biological changes and the mental developmental changes. And now we are entering stage 3, and from this point on, with puberty, we enter stage 3, and from this point on, it's not biology that moves us further. It's how much work we do with the tasks, and this is kind of our work now. So yes, puberty is what brings a child into adolescence, and puberty can happen, well, between a 8th year and 15th year. It's a wide range. It's not it's a wide range of age that ushers us into puberty. And in this early adolescent identity, the archetype that is used is the Thespian at the Oasis. So the Thespian at the Oasis, and it's worth to maybe understand a little bit more this word, Thespian. The Thespian the word Thespian comes from a Greek city of acting, Thespies, and there the muses were performing different kinds of theater. So in other words, the Thespian is an actor or an actress. The one who tries out different costumes, different roles, different styles. For what reason? Well, to find themselves. So Thespian, this is the meaning of Thespian, the actor or the actress, and Oasis. I like to see the Oasis as, it is a place in the desert where life is gathered, where people meet because there is water. So in these places where the Oasis is, where there is Oasis, different people and stimuli are there. in reality, but also this is the center of gravity. This is not the center of gravity, but this is what interests early adolescents. They are interested in exploring differently than the explorer in the garden. They are interested in experiencing different things, including food and clothing and experiences and partners and friendships and all of that, so that they can look more into what is their own way of being in the world. Why? Because the task of the stage is creating secure and authentic social self. Creating a secure and authentic social self. And this task is really huge, and it's kind of conflicting each other. If it was only to create a secure and authentic self apart from the society, that would be perhaps easier. If it was to belong only to the society and conform to what the others are, maybe that would be easier. But to combine the two, now this is a task. How one can be both authentic and socially accepted. So these are the questions that are working the stage 3 people. And I want to say that you see that we are now on the south part of the map, which means also kind of, south is hot, there is heat, there is different emotions. Have you been next to a teenager? My goodness, they have temper, right? One moment they are ecstatic and super joyous. The next one, they are super angry. The next one, they are super critical at what you're saying. And yet, this is who they are, not that this is what they are trying. They are holding so much there. And within all their trials, they're bringing innovation. They are bringing a fresh perspective into things. Even their parents, they're critical about their parents, not because they want their parents to move further, but because they want to move further from their parents. They want to disconnect from the garden that was before their stage and enter into a wider terrain, so that they can explore extreme experiences. Yes, and let's see, center of gravity. What else than peer group, sex, and society? Peer group meaning that, yes, they need to belong. This is a fundamental need for them to belong to a group. And this offers pressure on them, right? And sex, which is actually the moment for exploring their sexual orientation, other sexes, perhaps having intimate relationships. And society. What does the society say? What are the norms? And do I go along these norms, or do I have my own authentic way of being among the social norms? Sandra, do you want to share something at this point?
I can, yeah. Yeah, maybe stating that puberty marks our sexual awakening and our readiness to move fully into the social life and in the greater community. And yeah, this is perhaps the sex part of the center of the gravity. And then the peer group, it's Yeah, it is belonging, and it's maybe perhaps a certain kind of belonging. Here is about us trying to fit in. And I'm saying us, although we are not perhaps, I don't know your ages, but perhaps we passed the adolescent biological age, but many of us can still be in this stage 3. If the other two stages were not enough developed, so to say. So yeah, it means that our center of gravity, it is around fitting in rather than a true belonging. And fitting in, we all went through this, if we're not going through this right now. Fitting in means I will conform and I will adapt according to what my peer group says that I should look like or behave like or believe in. And in this way, I will guarantee myself a place of acceptance, of social acceptance. But that's part of the journey, and it is absolutely vital to find ourselves a place of fitting in. And later, as we advance, even in this, within this stage 3, we advanced on the wheel. We need to perhaps let go and give up on the on fitting in, and focus more on authenticity, on who we are, what are our values, what do we truly believe in, and what is our self in how is our self behaving in integrity. And therefore authenticity becomes a bit more important than social acceptance and fitting in. And later, still within this stage, they are both combined, and we have the ability to both be authentic and to be socially accepted. Maybe that means that we are changing a little bit our people, our friends, the ones that we are hanging up with, and our community. Maybe we are saying goodbye to some friendships, and we are saying hello to others. Things are changing and shifting a lot here in this stage. Also, maybe perhaps regarding to the archetype, the Thespian, here we have the ability to create everything that we are doing. We are creating. We are in the power of creating a persona, creating a personal social presence, creating our own drama. And we live, with fire, with eros, with passion. And those are very fruitful gifts in the world, in the society. Even later, as we advance on the wheel, we still need to remember the ways of sexual awakening and eros and fire. Yes, and this word create, we are creating our own world, is really important, because we are creating also through the work that we are choosing, the studies that we are choosing, the partners that we are choosing. And we come to a moment in which we can say, my life looks pretty well, pretty good, not bad at all. I really succeeded in life, you might say. You accomplished most of the things that the society would expect you to accomplish. You have a good enough status, you have a job, maybe even a steady relationship, you have pocket money, maybe even a car, if you're lucky, even a house. And yet, something feels that is missing. From deep within you, you feel that something is not quite right. And you ask yourself perhaps questions like, is that it? Is this is it? Is this how life should look like? I've done most of the things that I needed to do in this lifetime. And yet there is an emptiness, as well as a calling for a deeper life. And this place of creation is so, we cannot go further without creating a house of belonging, a house, a steady house that we love. And it's actually healthy and it's providing the community. We are doing great work from this place, but yet it's not our soul work. Yet we haven't touched and held hands with soul, not just yet. So suspense because yet something is to arrive. And maybe some of you, because stage 3 is really wide, very wide, and you can be, at the beginning of it or towards the end. And I suspect that many of us in the circle here, we are kind of on the edge of knocking on the doors of stage 3, and wanting so much to go to stage 4. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Eleni.
Yes. Mm. Yes. Um, how to move forward then? How to move forward? Well, by loving stage 3, by offering ourselves completely to the stage where we are, and working with tasks that are connected to stage 3. This is the way to move forward, to lose ourselves in the stage where we find ourselves. And here is a way. There are many ways, but here's a way of doing that. We are inviting you now for a moment of reflection, a moment with yourself, a moment of perhaps tracking your authenticity. In what way? By looking inwardly into what are your values. What are your top values? What values would you what would you sacrifice your life for? Would you die for? What values would you die for? Would you give your everything? And when we say values, we are talking about ideas, concepts. It could be peace. I'm just naming one as an example. Could be respect. Could be love. We're looking not for the actions connected to it, but for the meaning behind it. So, and you can look, if you want, you can look for these values into moments of tension in your life, whether there's positive tension or negative tension. A fight, for example, with someone, a conflict is where the values clash. Or going along with something and feeling inspired, probably there is also a value track there. So yeah, here is a possibility to do that, to be with yourself, and maybe look for, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 of your top values. Beautiful. However far you have gone, you are on an important journey here of discovering your values. Thank you for diving into them. And perhaps you may take this with you and see how these values shape your behaviors and shape who you are. And how, perhaps another question, how can you be in your social environments with these values stated out loud, protected, manifested into your way of being? So yeah, this is a potential homework if you want to take it. And of course, you may keep working and tracking your values.
Okay, so time to move on. because perhaps we didn't tell you, but from stage 3 on, we are not deciding when we are going to cross the stage, one stage to another. It's a mystery who is deciding that we are ready enough for the next stage. So ready or not, here I come. And maybe we can take this metaphor also of our wider project, caterpillar and butterfly, and we can perhaps imagine that in stage 3 we are similar to caterpillars, and caterpillars are astonishing creatures. Don't think of them as merely worms. They are absolutely beautiful. They are born with a gift. They have no idea that they will become butterflies. No idea. They would think, this is my assumption, that they would think that they for the rest of their life there will be caterpillars, and they are consuming. I don't know if you know this about caterpillars, but they are eating a lot, consuming, eating, growing, developing. Similarly to Thespian in the Oasis, similar to stage 3, we are consuming books and workshops and experiences and people and um, different personas and hairstyles and all of that, consuming in a healthy way this time, not the consumption of the egocentric world, but a development, in that sense of development. So and yet at a certain moment the caterpillar is now not consuming anymore and is shedding some skin, is molting and molting, and probably experiences crisis itself as well. And before becoming a butterfly, there's no way but spinning and creating a cocoon. So this is inviting us with our attention to our next stage here, which is stage 4, which is the wanderer in the cocoon. So yeah, giving up on the caterpillar life and saying yes, whether we like it or not. Probably we would even perhaps want to stay a little bit longer caterpillars because it's so familiar now and it's so comfortable. And yet Mystery and Life says, nope, you are ready enough for being in a cocoon and wandering in the cocoon. And here's a poem about that particular moment. And so I'm inviting you to listen with the ears of a creature that is in a cocoon, a creature that is wandering into this dark place in a cocoon. And it's a poem by Rainer Maria Rilke, and it's called Onto a Vast Plain. And it goes like this. You are not surprised at the force of the storm. You have seen it growing. The trees flee. Their flight sets the boulevard streaming. And you know, he whom they flee is the one you move towards. All your senses sing him, and you stand at the window. The weeks stood still in summer. The tree's blood rose. Now you feel it wants to sink back into the source of everything. You thought you could trust that power when you plucked the fruit? Now it becomes a riddle again, and you again a stranger. Summer was like your house. You knew where each thing stood. Now you must go into your heart as unto a vast plain. Now the immense loneliness begins. The days go numb. The wind sucks the world from your senses like withered leaves. Through the empty branches, the sky remains. It is what you have. Be earth now. and even song. Be the ground lying under the sky. Be modest now, like a thing ripened until it's real, so that he who began it all can feel you when he reaches for you. Onto a vast plain, you are not surprised at the force of the storm. You have seen it growing. You are not surprised. So this poem, perhaps in this poem, summer was like your house, says the poem. You knew where each thing stood. So perhaps this can be translated into our first identity, that good enough life. Oh, I know, and it's familiar for me. It's pretty sweet, and I know everything where it stands. And yet, you're not surprised by the storm, by the crisis, perhaps. All of a sudden, you're not eating as a caterpillar anymore, but you are building your own cocoon. So, the passage from stage 3 to stage 4 is the confirmation, which indicates that you are adequately or enough completed your adolescent personality, and you are ready to explore the mysteries of psyche and nature. And here, if you see, if you look on the wheel, on the model, we are going towards the west part of the 4 directions. From the south, we're going west, where the sun sets and the romance is invited, the poetry, the falling in love, the muses, the poetry. Again, I'm saying poetry. Well, it's a lot of poetry here. And as we probably mentioned before, every passage is a crisis, and perhaps especially this one. We might even call it a midlife crisis. And yeah, it is marked by you are not surprised by the storm. You have seen it growing. And now the title, The Cocoon, is a place in which it is both a place which we can call it a tomb, um, a coffin for our adolescent or first identity, and at the same time is a womb. It's a place where we are birthing from. It's a womb for the adult. Really interesting place to be in. We are both saying goodbye because it's a certain kind of death, a spiritual death, this of cocooning. It is a time of withdrawing from everyday social life world. We are leaving behind our adolescent beliefs, and we are seeking our unique gift of soul. So it is a dying that is happening, and a hope for a rebirth, a hope of birthing ourselves again into the world in a never before seen way. Probably the caterpillar, as I said it before, has no idea that this one would be a creature that will have magnificent wings and ability to fly and not crawl. And everything that the caterpillar and the butterfly was already in the cells of the caterpillar body. The caterpillar body, actually, what happens biologically is that it transforms into a soup. And in the cocoon, there's a soup. And in this soup, there are imaginal cells from which the butterfly is formed. So maybe similarly, we are going through a similar process and a similar transformation. Maybe we're not going to transform in butterflies, but maybe yes, but in other ways, in other lines of poetries that, yeah, it's ours own to be found. Yeah, I'm inviting Eleni to add here
Mm.
if she has.
Yeah, beautiful. We are, yes, I love what Sandra has finished with, that we are in a way of becoming our own butterfly or our own line of poetry, or eventually who ourselves, because the one that stirs and brings us into this mysterious, dangerous and potent realm is soul. So you're not surprised at the force of the storm. You have seen it growing. Soul knocks the door again and again because she, I'm saying she, but however you want, you may refer to this one. She wants you and feels that you're ready to lose yourself so that you're found. Uh, and and the And the line of poetry that Sandra said is not far from the gift that stage 4 people are offering into the world. Their gift is mystery and darkness. Mysteriousness, like poetry, speaks mysteriously some deep truths that not other texts speak in such a way. And darkness. Darkness meaning that the attention now is not in the light. We are in the exact opposite from where we began at birth. And being in a cocoon, it's a place of darkness. I love the idea of cocoon and how one can be a wanderer in a cocoon. How can you wander in a cocoon? Well, you can wander, I guess, through inward journeys, through diving deep within the psyche of oneself. And we dive deep through some burning questions, just like Poder had in the story yesterday. So these are the ones that, like magnets, drop us deep down into our own darkness and into perhaps the darkness of the terrain outside, the solitude in nature, with a quest to find our gifts and to meet our soul and receive a new name, like Poder received the name of the Rainmaker. So yeah, this is this is a little bit the energy of the stage 4. Center of gravity is the underworld, the world of decaying, of decomposing, of unmaking what has already been made with a lot of hard work and yeah, staying with the hope that something new will emerge, something new that is seated deep, deep, deep within you. And that's where meaning and purpose lay. This is where meaning and purpose. This is, I'm sorry. This is the moment when consuming products or as we spoke earlier, or retreats or this and that, it's not enough. And what we are in need now is to find deep meaning and deep purpose. In other words, our soul, in other words, our ecological and unique place of being in the world. In other words, who we are born to be. Luring enough? I'm curious. Luring enough to move towards that?
So we are trusting that you are getting and you are receiving, and that is landing on you the right amount and the right amount of information and images that need to arrive and to be received by you. And perhaps from this place of mystery and darkness and underworld, you can be really curious about the possibility here that we are offering you of writing a poem. And maybe you're very used to writing poems, or maybe perhaps you haven't written so-called a poem in your life, or somewhere in between. And yet now you have a song and an invitation and a space and time to allow yourself. You don't have to share it with anyone if you don't want it. Your poem can have 3 lines or 3 words or more, or 30 lines, as many as the muse will be gifting you with. And sink into this. What is my longing for soul? Maybe perhaps this is the invitation, the flavor of the poem writing. Like, how can you describe in lines of poetry your longing for soul, your union, your sacred union with your beloved soul, with that particular place that will make you really feel that you are belonging in the family of things. So it's maybe a courting poem, as if it can be as if you are courting your soul, inviting this one that stays in the unknown yet into your awareness. Um, yeah, and try, be wild, and bring all the other stages and all the other gifts of innocence. We need innocence in order to die. See how the stages are connected. Yes, we need to have faith and hope and presence to what is presented and what is present. And we need to have fire and to have wonder. So bring along all the other gifts that you have been accumulating and collecting throughout your life until now, and give yourself to this poem. It's not an end. There's never an end. There is just growth, as the previously read kind of poetry told us. Perhaps it's just a short break between other lines of poetry that you will birth from your longing and from your desires and from your soul-centric needs for meaning and purpose. So let's have a 1 minute or so of you translating, not translating into another language, but putting in the chat in English if possible, some of your poetry. I mean, 2 lines of your poetry, because we would love to continue this community dreaming, community creating, community envisioning, and to have a moment of celebration of the wanderers, the poets, the dark seekers for soul that we are. And maybe Eleni and I will one by one read these pieces of your poetry to bring them in the center of our circle. So here we go. From Leo, simply accepting it is what it needs to be.
I am deeply longing now for you, for my place to find, for what for me is true.
Mm. Mm. From Sinya, I open the black hole deep down my skin for you to sink in and fertilize my womb.
Mm. Mm. I forgot to announce that the previous one I read was from Stanislava, and the one that arrives is from Greece. To see these gray ones apart, to see the colors, my colors, to see the light, one tiny light, and grow from there.
Mm. Mm. From Diana, to grow back again in spirit like a butterfly, the owl to announce your rebirth, to climb and jump, to die again and again. Mm.
From Rasmus, giving in to surrender.
Mm. From Tero, to welcome in me with laughter and to give with twinkle in my eyes.
Mhm. From peace, what are you up to, or more down to, shall I ask? Mhm.
From Maria, take the leap of faith. Old self has to die to reborn. There, or you will be safe in the eternal tomb.
Mhm. From Adriana, come back, my dear child, come back to me. I can hear you new. Or now, I can let your wings to fly, my beauty. Come and leave the love of your soul, manifest and spread it into the world.
From Joanna Cristina, Cocoon, birth me in my beauty. Give me the joy to see myself, just a human soul, nectar of flowers. I am now a butterfly wing.
Mm. Beauty. From Panayota, this one. Dance. Dance with me. Dance me. Move. Move with me. Move me.
Mm. From Dominica. And now it is time to live the divine plan.
Mm. From Lelde. Wings saying farewell, not mine to fly anymore, falling to be with the soil to land.
Mm.
Mm.
From Focus. Taste the essence of your own dreams and become the vision itself. You are the spark.
Mm. Mm. From Yelena. Run. I see some light there. Run. I can feel it. I'm coming home. I am home.
Mm, mm. From Anka. Learning to believe what I feel, learning to be human again and again and again.
From Orsolia. I love how it sleeps, how it loves. Also the way it dances through my body that it shows. And I'm ready to put the music as long as I feel.
From Rita. If I would be only one thing only, Unessence, I would be forest, enchanted, dark, multicultural, regenerative, moving towards where I can generate more life, always making fluffy and fertile soil, so more forest of me can sprout.
Mm.
Mhm.
From Christina, with a child's joy, looking forward to all that can be. Mm.
Mhm. From Imola. Turn the lights down low, the noise of the world, bend the frame, don't mind the game, stop searching for a gift, just be it.
Mm.
Hmm. Okay, wow. And I am sure if we would stretch time and be here longer, more and more will be sprouted. Wow, deep seekers, so much beauty. And hopefully you feel touched and emotionally stirred in your becoming, in your dying, in your rebirthing. Who knows where you are? Who knows what are you gravitating around? Mm.
Mm. Mm. Beauty indeed. And we would love to send this poetry back to you, this whole poetry. So be aware that this one will be coming via an email. And let this poetry be a prayer too, because it is a way of praying. This one. Mm. We are in stage 4 at the moment, right? The wonder in the cocoon, and every stage is the best stage to be. And one will wonder, well, there were many more stages in that map that we showed earlier. What about them? Well, we are going to briefly present them very, very shortly. And we will do it briefly because once we shift to stage 4, things are kind of finding their own way, and this is where the revolution leaves. When we switch from stage 3 to stage 4, when we love so much stage 3 so that we fall into stage 4. And then kind of things find their own way, because soul then is so loudly screaming that we cannot say no anymore. And yet, let's very briefly go to stages, the next stages. Stage 5, we are crossing from stage 4 to stage 5 when we have soul initiation, when we have a soul encounter and our soul is about to manifest in the world. And the archetype of this one who lives in stage 5 is the apprentice at the Wellspring. This one is learning the delivery systems for embodying soul in culture. This one's gift is the visionary action and inspiration. And the center of gravity is the cultural depths. It's also the beginning of early adulthood. That's when we reach adulthood.
Mm. So if in stage 5 we are identifying a delivery system that is matching our time and culture and people, we are apprenticing and having at least one delivery system, like a way to embody soul in the world. Then later we are ushered in stage 6 by the induction that confirms the mastery, maybe, of our adult soul work. And here in stage 6, we learn to embody our soul in an ever more creative and abundant and generative way. maybe now we are finding never before seen ways of embodying our soul. So we are really creating here. Again, the word creating is brought here, but we are creating, being informed by the image of our soul. And we realize here in stage 6 that the cultural change depends on us and on our delivery system. And maybe previously we had mentors and teachers that taught us how to embody our soul. And now more than ever, we are learning what exactly to embody and what exactly we have to manifest. So it is about manifesting innovative uh, ways of showing and embodying your soul. And the gift are the seeds of cultural renaissance, that cultural transformation and revolution, evolution that the earth and its humans and more than humans are needing. And center of gravity is the giveaway as an art form. Whatever we are going to um, whatever the delivery system that we are going to offer our soul will be, it's going to be an art form, our art. Oh yeah, because the archetype I didn't mention is the artisan in the wild orchard. We are artists of our own unique souls. Mm.
Mm. And when stage 6 comes to an end, adulthood also comes to an end. And we're moving now again kind of east slowly, but we are in north where we have been creating, producing. And after the passage of crowning, stage 7 is early elderhood. And the archetype is the master in the grove of elders. So this one is a master, because the art that was created, now this one is a master, is crowned as a master. Maybe this one is teaching others how to craft their own gifts. The task is caring for the soul of the more than human community. Now, this one cares not only for humanity, but also for all the species that live in the earth. Their center of gravity is the web of life. This one is, looking for ways to care, to offer themselves to the sustenance and the enhancing ways of being in the world for every being. And the gift is wholeness, because life is kind of complete now, completing, coming to a completion, a fulfillment. Mm-hmm.
And stage 7 comes to an end, and there is the passage of the surrender, which marks somehow the release of the goal-oriented tasks and opening the way to the final stage, the late elderhood, the sage in the mountain cave, in which there is no task. There is a non-task, which is tending the universe. Our impulse then turns towards the mysterious tending of the evolving universe. And the center of gravity returns in the east and returns to be in the center of the spirit and cosmos. And there are 8 stages, and yet there are 9 passages, because the last passage, the 9th one from stage 8, is the death, is the physical, actual death that is inevitable. That we will all experience it, and hopefully we will all be lucky enough for ourselves, but mostly for the world, to reach stage 8 and to be sages in the mountain cave. Yeah, this is the model that we wholeheartedly wanted to present to you, and more details will be offered later on on email, but also in other forms of work that we are going to contribute to this dream, to this big dream, because we call our project not a project but a dream, a vision that our souls want to contribute towards. And yeah, it was a pleasure, and it's still a pleasure to be sharing this with you. And now knowing that you have this knowledge, and you will ripple it around you, in your work, in your life, in your relationships, and having soul and nature at the center of your life.
Yes, indeed. It has been a gift to have you with us today. You are the gift. That your presence is the gift, not only for the two of us, for the whole world. And you are holding these possibilities of transforming your own life and more. And yes, we want to leave you with two questions, to bring further with you today, tonight, and let this question sink into you. Maybe open yourself again, the same way we opened ourselves earlier to the poetry, and we're opening ourselves to these questions. And yeah, they are. How would your life change? How would your life change if you were to have a meaning and purpose-driven life? Once more, how would your life change if you were to have a meaning and purpose-driven life? And how would the world change if you were to have a meaning and purpose-driven life? How would the world change if you were to have a meaning and purpose-driven life? And with these questions echoing within you, we are coming to an end, or to a pause, because the journey never stops. The journey never stops. And be aware as we're approaching another threshold again, the threshold of going back to ordinary life. So yeah, perhaps bring with you all the gifts. Not perhaps, hopefully, yes, you are bringing with you all the gifts gathered here today, and bring them just in the next 5 seconds and 5 minutes. Don't wait. The way you will turn off the light or go to your child or beloved, bring these ones with you. Thank you so much.
Yes, from my side too, thank you very much, and hopefully you have a new flavor of the possibilities that can happen between you and the world, between you and your soul. Gratitude for your presence, being a gift, and see you along the way. See you along the journey.
you down the road, yes.
Mhm.
Down the
Hi,
road.
dear ones. Mhm.